call this meeting to order, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Should I do the comments or should I just go there? Should I do the comments or just go there for the session?
Could she go right to executive or?
Call the roll, and then, yeah.
Okay, all right. Roll call.
Ms. Pino, Ms. Rosada Quesada, Ms. Thomas,
Present.
Ms. Armstead,
Present.
Ms. Carrillo, Ms. Cintron, Mr. Dela Cruz,
Present.
Mrs. Fleming,
Present.
and Dr. Berghammer.
Present. All right. At this moment, we're gonna go into executive session for personnel reasons. I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Armstead,
Yes.
Mr. Dela Cruz,
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming,
Yes.
and Dr. Berghammer.
Yes. I apologize for the delay, but now we get ready to go back in session. I make a motion to reopen the meeting.
Motion to go back into public?
Yes.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Pino,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Armstead,
Yes.
Ms. Cintron, Mr. Dela Cruz,
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming,
Yes.
and Dr. Berghammer.
Yes. Now I'm going to call this meeting to order. In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as follows. On January 10th, May 2nd, and May 11, 2023, notice was sent to the Home News Tribune, Star Ledger, the Union County Local Source, Tapinto, and the clerk of the municipality. This is a no-smoking area. By state law, there is no smoking permitted in this building at any time. In addition to the listed items in this agenda, this Board of Education may discuss and act upon other items not specifically referred to herein, as is allowed at a regularly scheduled monthly board meeting under the Sunshine Law. Roll call.
Ms. Pino,
Yes.
Ms. Rosada Quesada, Ms. Thomas,
Present.
Ms. Armstead,
Present.
Ms. Carrillo, Ms. Cintron,
Present.
Mr. Dela Cruz,
Present.
Mrs. Fleming,
Present.
Dr. Berghammer.
Present. Our next agenda item is to approve the minutes. Motion to approve the minutes of the work section held on April 25th, 2023, and the regular meeting held on April 27, 2023.
Motion to approve minutes.
Second?
Roll call.
Ms. Pino,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Armstead,
Yes.
Ms. Cintron,
Yes.
Mr. Dela Cruz,
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming,
Yes.
and Dr. Berghammer.
Yes. Now, our next agenda items is comments from the public.
No, we're gonna go into,
They don't have the full board agenda, we have to go into.
Oh, yes, so we're going to go into session right now? Okay. Inside.
Oh, wait.
No.
So who's going to make a motion? Someone make a motion? Yes.
wait, no, so we're not opening to the public at this time. We're gonna go into closed first.
Okay. No,
Yeah, it
I'm
was a
sorry.
mistake.
Yes. At this moment, we are going to go into executive session. I'd like someone to make a motion for us to go into executive session.
Motion to go to executive session. Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Pino,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Armstead,
Yes.
Ms. Cintron,
Yes.
Mr. Dela Cruz,
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming,
Yes.
and Dr. Berghammer.
Yes. We'll be back shortly.
Motion to return back to executive session. Back to normal
Yes.
session. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
I would like someone to make a motion to take us out of executive session.
Let's go back into public. Motion?
Second.
Second. All right. All in roll call.
Ms. Pino,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Armstead?
Yes.
Ms. Cintron?
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
And Dr. Berghammer?
Yes. We're going to begin with comments from the public. Members of the public desiring to make a public comment may come forward at this time. For those watching online, if you wish to make a comment or ask a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature on the online meeting platform. Please begin your comment by stating your name and address. Individuals are invited to speak on one topic at a time, and no individual will speak more than once until all individuals so desiring have spoken once. The public is reminded that to ensure the efficient and orderly operation of the meeting, members of the public will be limited to speaking on agenda items for 3 minutes. Please state your name and address, please, sir.
Yes. First of all, good evening. My name is Craig Heller, and I live at 120 Donaldson Place. My question is on the finance report, page 66, item number 22. Substitute staffing services for school psychologists and speech therapists are no longer needed, and yet we're now going with CPC behavioral health care for a cost of $60,000 for therapy, and Trinitas Healthcare Corp for therapy to the tune of $350,000. I mean, do we need the services or don't we?
Do you want to answer?
Absolutely, we need those services.
So we're canceling one contract and just going with somebody else for the same services, or I'm talking about different services here and don't realize it?
I'm not seeing the issue. Could you just draw my attention to where you see the difference?
No, it's in a finance report, page 66, item number 22. Substitute staffing services for school psychologists and speech therapists are no longer needed. Is it just that company that isn't needed, or, and now we're going to go to CPC behavioral health care for $60,000 for therapy, and Trinitas Healthcare Corporation for therapy to the tune of $350,000. You know, I'm just trying to understand the change, or maybe it's not a change, or just one contract expired, another one's being picked up.
As we try to cover some shortages in our own personnel, we did send out those proposals, and we did several things to try and get the services. That's why we rejected those proposals.
Okay, thank you. I do have other questions, if hopefully I can ask them later.
Thank you.
Jessica DeFelice, 1425 Valley Drive in Wall. Good evening. My name is Jessica DeFelice. I am the school social worker at Seoul Middle School, and I'm here with other staff members from Seoul to speak about the need for the Dean of Students position at Seoul, more specifically, the need to keep Mr. Lawrence McGee at Seoul. I had previously sent a letter with staff signatures, student testimonials, and parent support to Dr. Tomazik, along with every Board of Education member. However, I did not receive any response directly back. Therefore, I would like to highlight some of what was shared in the letter, and although not all staff members could be here tonight, based on the number of staff signatures, you can see that this is a very concerning matter. I want to start by saying that since coming to Seoul in 2013, I have always loved my school. The heart that our staff pours out to the students is unmatched. I love all my kids as they are my own. You can ask anyone. I can honestly say these past 2 years, I would be unable to do my job without Mr. McGee. Over the past few years, there has been a constant overturn of leadership and administration. Many staff positions are also left unfilled. Whether it be the turnover or filling in for the current administration, Mr. McGee is a constant in our students' lives. He does not hesitate to step up and step in to fill any role that is needed, going beyond the role of his official title on a consistent basis. You will see Mr. McGee greeting students in the hallway, then running to cover a class, then being called to handle a mediation or discipline issue, all with a positive attitude and a smile on his face. He acts efficiently and handles all matters at hand, supporting staff and students alike. Right now, I see the students suffering daily. Seoul has gone from a safe haven for our students to somewhere they do not feel safe. The lack of sense of safety is of utmost concern. This is evidenced by a survey created by the ILT, where 42.8% of students reported they do not feel safe in our school. This is a staggering statistic. I anticipate the number of students who don't feel safe will greatly increase with the absence of Mr. McGee. Mr. McGee provides them with a sense of security. He is constantly present in the hallways, cafeteria, classrooms, and in the Linden community. Many students spend more time with Mr. McGee than their parents or guardians, as they see him at Seoul and the PAL daily. Inside and outside of the school day, Mr. McGee strives to teach the whole child and provides opportunities for students to guide them in reaching their full potential. He participates in all activities and is always willing to volunteer. He is invested in the community, making him a safe, trusted adult who students seek out. His community partnerships assist with all positive events at Seoul, including honor roll fun days, student of the month lunches, field days, and more. By eliminating the Dean of Students position, the district is going against their own goals and vision. According to the job description, the Dean of Students has the primary responsibility of providing academic, social, emotional, and behavioral support services to students and staff. Mr. McGee has filled his role of the Dean of Students by meeting these responsibilities and many more. I understand the position was created through funding. However, it is a critical role in Seoul. My hope is the district can find the funds for this position, as other positions have been created and funds found. Why should a position that was made directly to impact the social emotional needs of the students be taken away when now more than ever these needs are of the utmost concern? Ultimately, eliminating the Dean of Students position is more than eliminating just a job. It is in eliminating our students' biggest supporter. Removing a single position in a school may not seem detrimental, but taking Mr. McGee away from our students would be devastating to Seoul and our Linden community. He is reliable, approachable, present. He is an essential part of Seoul Middle School and has brought a sense of safety, trust, and rapport that is irreplaceable. Mr. McGee fills the role of administrator, mentor, and role model that the students and staff so desperately need. He has created a very positive rapport with and gained the respect of students, staff, parents, and the community. He gave us hope again, and his impact is one that cannot be replaced. Mr. McGee opens our eyes and reminds us of our purpose of being education, to be there for the students no matter what it takes. He is just not another staff member in the building. He is the heart and soul that backs Seoul. He is humble, he is selfless, and he is the strong leader that Seoul needs. Our school climate would diminish even further without his courage, commitment, and connection to our community. I could go on longer with many examples of things Mr. McGee does daily. However, I know I am limited to a certain time, so I thank you for your time and consideration.
Good evening. Mary Ann Pirozzoli, 26 Rugby Road, Colonia, New Jersey. Before I read my letter, piggybacking on Ms. DeFelice, I just wanted to let the board know how totally disheartened I was that not one person reached out to me from last month to today about what, in fact, the letter that I read and what it entailed. I really believed that the Board of Education members had concern for the faculty and staff that work there, but I honestly do not believe that anymore. What letter? Linden Public School has published the mission to promote global citizenship and ensure personal success for all students. This goal focuses on nurturing students to achieve their maximum potential in an engaging, inspiring, and challenging learning environment. Linden has the goal to foster positive relationships among students, parents, staff, and community members. To help meet this influential and crucial role, the district created an additional yet critical position for each middle school, the Dean of Students. Mr. McGee has fulfilled this role along with many other roles during his time at Seoul. Mr. McGee is essential to the Seoul community. He makes Seoul function each and every day. In the rare occasion that Mr. McGee is not in the building, the lack of his presence is felt. Mr. McGee is a constant for students and staff. Mr. McGee is without a doubt a role model who makes it clear to the students how deeply he cares about them, both in and outside the walls of Seoul Middle School. Within school, Mr. McGee is visible and engaged from early morning until dismissal. He actively seeks to reward students for their positive behavior with initiatives such as Student of the Month, Honor Roll, Fun Days, grade level field days, and more. He connects with and fosters relationships with students as a mentor and provides them opportunities to express their talents in ways that help both them and their community grow. His work is fueled through passion and community outreach. Outside of his position at Seoul, Mr. McGee is part of a nonprofit organization, Youth Legacy Leaders, whose mission is to guide the youth in the local community. Mr. McGee leads by example by encouraging kids to pay it forward and work hard to see progress in their own town. Events held for his organization focus on the importance of education as seen in their toy drives, back-to-school backpack supply collections, and tutoring programs. Other events focus on family involvement, including parent workshops and discussions. Additional events focus on fun for the whole community with bowling nights, movie nights, sports events, and Easter basket giveaways. Whether it be listening to students or staff's concerns, mediating conflict, teaching students to problem solve, monitoring their grades, or providing a relatable perspective, he makes it known that he will do whatever it is in his power to be there. The support he provides for staff and students alike is unmatched, always addressing concerns immediately, making everyone feel seen and valued. He has mastered balancing being the student's biggest fan while holding them accountable. We continue to say that we want what is best for the children, yet we are taking away a role that directly impacts them in a positive way daily. This goes against what the district promotes. I encourage the board to reconsider Mr. McGee's position as Seoul, as the students would suffer greatly without him. Thank you.
I guess we don't have any more comments from the public. Is there anyone online?
I don't see anybody.
No.
Okay. I want to thank you for your comments. Our next agenda item is our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, we're sad to report the passing of two of our former staff members. Lawrence Silbisky started working for the Linden Board of Education at the School 4 Annex in 1964. She was a cafeteria worker in the days when the cafeteria was under the district's direct control. Florence worked for 28 years and headed the kitchen before she retired in 1991. Secondly, we have Frank Lysick. Frank started working in the Linden Board of Education in 1984. Mr. Lysick was a remedial math teacher who taught at McManus Middle School and Seoul Middle School until his retirement in 2019. On behalf of the Linden Public Schools, we offer our most heartfelt sympathies to the family of these two individuals. Our thoughts are with you and your family during this very sad time. We also have this evening to celebrate two retirements of long-serving members of our school community. Jean Callahan started working for the Linden Board of Education in 2001 as a part-time school aide at School 6 In September of 2012, Jean was appointed as a 12-month secretary at School 2, and then in 2016, she was transferred to School 6, where she will be continuing as school secretary until her retirement. Also, Kendra Christopherson-Froner started working for the Linden Board of Education in 2006 as a speech correction language specialist. During Kendra's tenure with the Linden Board of Education, she worked at schools 4, 6, 10, and is currently at School 2 until her retirement. We thank these two individuals for their passion and dedication to the students and families of Linden, and the Linden Board of Education wish them all the best and hope that they enjoy their retirement. Tonight, while we have this board meeting over at Linden High School, they're having a wonderful ceremony where students who have earned the seal of biliteracy are receiving their awards. We had 79 awards given out for 70 students. That means 9 of those students are technically triliterate because they qualified in 2 other languages other than English. So this is a wonderful testament to our student population, and as they move into their adult years, biliterate or triliterate, they could only be that much more powerful. I remind all our parents that tomorrow night is the All-City Music and Art at the Promenade. Thursday night, there's no Board of Education meeting because most of us will be at the Linden High School prom. Friday, there is no school. That's the last of the snow payback days. Next Monday, of course, is Memorial Day, and there'll be no school. To review the last week on Thursday, school number 4, after the end of the school day, had a memorial service for Ariel Rivas, and it went very well, a very moving ceremony. Next Tuesday, we will have a memorial service for Xavier McLean, who passed away earlier this school year at Linden High School. The service will be at the field house, and I know that the football team is planning other memorials as we get going with the new school season. McManus is doing a scholarship and raising funds for the Narodas. As a reminder, school again is closed this Friday, next Monday, and also will be closed on Election Day, Tuesday, June 6th, and will be closed on Juneteenth, which is Monday, June 19th. We start our half days with no lunch served on Tuesday, June 20th, and go through Thursday, June 22nd. Graduation ceremonies for the middle schools will be on Wednesday, June 21st, with McManus starting at 9 a.m. and Soul, I'm sorry, let me reverse that, with Soul starting at 9 a.m. and McManus at 12:30 p.m. Linden High School will have their ceremony on Thursday morning, June 22nd, starting at 10 a.m. Thursday, June 22nd, is the final day for students. And then the following Monday, June 26th, we'll start our summer programs for extended school year and summer bridge programs. Madam President, that completes my report.
Thank you, sir. Our next agenda item is our attorney report.
Thank you, Madam President. I have 2 items for which I'm seeking board approval. Item 1 is for approval of a settlement agreement for litigation that the board is party to. Item 2 is approval for a sidebar agreement to the collective bargaining agreement that the board is a party to with the Linden Education Association. So if I can get a motion and a second on those 2 items.
Motion to approve the attorney's report, items 1 and 2.
Second.
Before,
There shouldn't be any questions because we should have addressed them all in
All right.
closed session.
Okay. So roll call?
Ms. Pino,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Armstead,
Yes.
Ms. Cintron,
Yes.
Mr. De La Cruz,
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming,
Yes.
and Dr. Berghammer.
Yes. Our next agenda item is our Education Committee report.
Education Committee, upon recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools and assistant superintendent, presents the following motion of Linden Board of Education for approval. I approve item 1 through 41. Do I respectfully get a second?
Second. Roll call.
Now you could ask if you have discussion.
Now, do you guys have anyone have any discussion before we move to roll call? Roll call?
Ms. Pino?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Armstead?
Yes.
Ms. Cintron?
Yes.
Mr. Dela Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
And Dr. Berghammer.
Yes. Our next agenda item is our personnel report.
Personnel Committee, upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, presents the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval. All appointments and reappointments are contingent upon and may be modified based on student participation in district receipt of sufficient school state aid and other revenue funding. I approve items 1 through 61, and I respectfully ask for a second.
Second.
62.
62?
62.
66.
Oh, 60, I'm sorry, items 1 through 62.
Any comments?
Discussed it. No.
All right, seeing that there are no comments, roll call?
Ms. Pino?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Armstead?
I would like to recuse myself from item 6, number 1, item 15, number 7, and item 16F, number 7. Yes to all other agenda items.
Ms. Cintron?
Yes.
Mr. Dela Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
And Dr. Berghammer.
Yes. Our next agenda item, our finance report.
The Finance Committee, upon recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools and the business administrator, board secretary, present the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval. 1 through 73, I ask for a second.
Second.
Any comments?
Just the one, as I spoke about at the meeting, we're going to just have to revise the resolution for Pomptonian to read as follows, that there is no guaranteed financial performance, and the total estimated cost of the contract is $3,082,284.05.
No other comments?
Price of change.
Roll call?
Ms. Pino?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Armstead?
Yes.
Ms. Cintron?
Yes.
Mr. Dela Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
And Dr. Berghammer.
Yes. Our next agenda item, building and grounds.
The Buildings, Grounds, and Security Committee, upon recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools and the business administrator board secretary, present the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval. Looking for a motion from, for 1 through 5.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Pino? Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Armstead?
Yes.
Ms. Cintron?
Yes.
Mr. Dela Cruz?
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming?
Yes.
And Dr. Berghammer.
Yes. The planning and policy report.
The Planning and Policy Committee, upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, presents the following motions to the Linden Board of Education for approval. The first reading, item number 1, policy 9140, students representative to the Board of Education. I respectfully ask for a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a quick question. I was reading up on it, and the student council is the one that's gonna recommend, so it's a high school student, obviously, and they will recommend it by when?
It's going to be a little bit truncated this year if once the policy's in place, and then next year it would have been done in the spring. This year, it's going to be since we'll have to have the second reading in June, we'll have to do the filling of that position in the fall, but in a normal year, it would have been the spring.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Pino,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Armstead,
Yes.
Ms. Cintron,
Yes.
Mr. Dela Cruz,
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming,
Yes.
and Dr. Berghammer.
Yes. Our next agenda items, comments from the public. Members of the public desiring to make a public comment may come forward at this time. For those watching online, if you wish to make a comment or ask a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature on the online meeting platform. Please begin your comments by stating your name and address. Individuals are invited to speak on one topic at a time, and no individual will speak more than once until all individuals so desiring have spoken once. The public is reminded that to ensure the efficient and orderly operation of the meeting, members of the public will be limited to speaking on agenda items for 3 minutes.
Any item.
Any item.
Okay. Again, my name is Craig Halloran, address at 120 Donaldson Place. I was looking at the new budget for the next school year, and I could be wrong. I didn't see any money allotted for the resource officers in the school, and I was wondering, what is a non-public book?
We don't have resource officers in the school. We have Class 3 officers, and the money is in the budget for them. A non-public book, certain federal monies come in where the public school district has to be the go-through of the money to get to the non-public schools. So we have to reach out to the non-public schools in Linden to see if they're willing to meet the needs of getting this money, but we have to coordinate with them, and the funds flow through us to them.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Danielle Jacks. My address is 424 Roselle Street.
I'm Xander Remo, and my address is 610 Chandler Avenue. We're both students of Linden High School, and we're here to bring up a problem that we've seen facing our school community.
The school dress code outlines clear rules as to what needs to be worn within or around school grounds. Ban articles such as wave caps, bonnets, and do-rags. These pieces and clothing or accessories clearly target minorities in our school, specifically Black people, female students. These articles of clothing are culturally significant and important in Black and African American students. While the direct statement on the rules of wave caps and bonnets are specifically listed, its specific enforcement on the dress policy targeted to female students are more than their male peers. Enforcement has become entirely dependent on faculty members' discretion. The result is uneven enforcement. Male students may egregiously violate the school dress code and even expose undergarments, but rarely get punished for these infractions. On the other hand, female students have been forced to change their outfits during the course of the school day. This policy and enforcement of it will not only continue to inhibit the students' clothing expression, but also wrongly send innocent students to detention or ISS by introducing tolerant dress policy that reflects a diversity of schools and student population that we can create a more welcoming environment. What we are proposing is simple. We are not advocating for the complete removal of the dress code. We are also not advocating to allow any manner of clothing to be permitted in the school. Instead, we want to establish a committee of teachers, administrators, parents, and students who can build a consensus on what an appropriate and broadly acceptable dress code can be going forward. I think it's unfair how multiple female students have felt specifically targeted by the dress code, and how Black people cannot truly fully express them and their culture by the restrictions of the dress code. bonnets and durags and wave caps are very culturally significant in the Black community. They even have roots to before slavery, which that is incredibly hard to find. So imagine how significant that is. And when it comes to female students, honestly, the rules are not enforced as equally as they are to male students. When playing sports, female students have been targeted. I have multiple students, from students who choose to stay anonymous, where they have been working out in 90-degree weather out in the field, and the coaches have come up to them and told them that what they're wearing is inappropriate and they need to cover up because they're distracting the coaches. That is wrong. And when I see the boys practicing, I see them in shorts, shirtless, doing whatever they please, and I don't think that's okay. When I go into the halls, I see men sagging all the time, but when a woman wears a crop top, they are immediately reprimanded. And as a teenage girl, being pointed out in front of a crowd for something that you are wearing to express yourself and saying that it is inappropriate is incredibly humiliating, and it makes you feel disgusting inside. But the boys walk around and they could be shirtless, or they could just wear their pants below their underwear, and they are fine, and they can easily walk past administration. And there's also an issue with how it's specifically enforced. I have seen certain security guards let go of something that other security guards wouldn't even let pass. And there are certain security guards that target women and Black people more than they target other people. Not that I want to name names or call anyone out, but I just think that it is completely unfair, and it is showing a subconscious bias against against the students in the school. It's infringing on how we creatively express ourselves, and I want to express myself. As a female who goes to school, I want to show off my femininity in clothes that make me feel comfortable. And as a Black person, I want to show off my culture in clothes that I am close to. But I can't do either of those things with the rules of the school. I actually have an example of a friend who's close to me, a trans woman, who feels incredible gender dysphoria because she can't wear like the clothes that she wants to wear, because almost all of her clothes have been dress coded and said that they're too inappropriate for school. She has to wear her little brother's clothes to school, and it makes her feel disgusting inside. And when she has been targeted in bathrooms because she's dressing masculine and going to the bathroom as a trans woman, she talks to the faculty members and they just tell her to dress more feminine, and it's impossible to do that if everything she wears is not appropriate for a school. I don't want to completely abolish the school dress code. No one wants that. But I just want to have a genuine, honest conversation about how we can make it better to show the diversity and the creativity of all the wonderful students at Linden High School.
All right, sorry, we're switching up here. I want to quote you guys, because we have the student handbook here it's on your website here. It says that the Linden Board of Education supports this policy for the following reasons: to instill discipline and create a positive educational atmosphere, to help with issues of peer pressure, to increase classroom concentration, to promote a sense of identity and improve security, to increase school spirit and school unity, to help families with economic issues regarding costs, to enhance community image, which I find very important, and to assist students in preparing for the work world. We can go into the semantics of what it is, what the work world is, and how to dress professionally, but when it comes to the school, I believe that things such as wave caps or bonnets, although I don't find it culturally significant to me since I am an Asian American, I find it that it is outrageous to say that it is unprofessional. I find it outrageous to say that it does not instill a positive educational atmosphere. It says here, actually, you know what, never mind, that's a totally different thing. I do want to bring up another point, though, that there has been an increase of enforcement of these policies. Now, we find that to be in response to the wave of violence that has been plaguing the school district. As most of you probably have heard, there was recently, there was a woman in our school, one of our students, who was maced for holding a water gun. Now, we can go into like what it is and what how it could be perceived, but there have been numerous accounts of fights going on in schools. There's been numerous accounts of people getting suspended for the wrong reasons. And the only response we see from the school board or our schools is dress code. All we're seeing is, oh, guys, keep in line. And I find that to be outrageous when our own students are being beaten by police officers. Now, I'm not saying that that is entirely true all the time, but I do not feel safe in my school. I do not feel safe when my school cares more about what I'm wearing than how I am feeling and how I present myself. Or not present myself, I yield that. Apologies, it's my first time up here. You have anything else?
I don't think they're done.
Another thing, back to the rule on how the dress code is to instill discipline and create a positive educational atmosphere. Every time someone gets dress coded, it actually disrupts their education. There has been times where someone has been dress coded for something they can simply just put over it, but instead they're on ISS for the whole day, or even worse, suspended, and that's disrupting their education for something that they're wearing. I understand that now they are given clothes, but like when they run out of clothes, they are put in ISS for the whole entire day. That is not how you get an education. Okay, that is all we have to say.
Before you go, I just have one question here. Students being beaten by police officers, what are you referring to?
Oh, sorry. Apologies. When I say the word beaten, I don't mean with like batons, but I'm sure you heard about the girl that was maced. Are you aware of like the girl that was maced for just I don't want to say a small school fight, but you know, they were in a kerfuffle, for lack of better words. And then when the cops came in, they were subsequently, like, how many police cars? 5 police cars came in, and then they maced the girl, even though she was already on the ground.
When was this?
I don't have an exact, around 2 weeks ago. I don't have an exact date on me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank
Of course. We also have, we do have signatures from over 500 students here. So we are missing some of them because they are with other students who were supposed to be here. However, we do still have over 200 signatures here from students who agree that the policy should at least have a conversation about changing the dress code, if you would like it.
Dr. Tomasic, you have anything to say?
Just 2 general things. The enforcement of the existing dress code did come from the Board of Education through me to the principals. So the heightened enforcement has been a very recent and deliberative process by the Board of Education. The part of the policy that you read about what the dress code is supposed to be was actually written by me back when we were going to do school uniforms. That teed up why this district was going to do school uniforms. In the subsequent years, when I wasn't here, it left the verbiage in place on the dress code, but it took out the part about school uniforms being required, or that you would be disciplined if you didn't wear the school uniform. The other parts of the policy as to what can or can't be worn has been in place for well over 10 years. But obviously, if times have changed, the board writes policies on how the district is to be run, and administrators like myself and the principals enforce it. If there's an appropriate feeling that that is somehow out of date or that different standards need to be applied, then that would be the board's prerogative to reassess if necessary, which I presume is what you've communicated to the board here this evening.
Yes. I just want to make clear that we do understand that there is a clear lack of conversation between the student voice and the school board. So that's why we're up here today, just to at least start a conversation about why it is this dress code is making our school environment less safe.
I want to thank you for coming here. I want to let you know that you are heard. In fact, starting in our next school year, we will actually have the presence of a high school student sitting on our board. We are getting a student advocate. So we will have, your voice will be heard. And, we will do whatever we can to support and accommodate you students. Thank you very much.
And thank you for hearing our voices.
Hi, Donna Hernandez, 133 Princeton Road. I just want to start off with, I want to thank the board members for coming out and supporting the girls at some of our home games, away games. This year we had 9 wins, 12 losses. That's the most wins we've had since 2016. We've had a new head softball coach. And with our other 2 assistant coaches, so I think they did very, very well. I also want to congratulate our varsity softball pitcher, Molly McDonald. Since high school, she ended her career on her sophomore with 299 strikeouts. This season alone, she has done 159. That ends her junior high school career with a total of 458 strikeouts. So I'm excited to see her senior year, what she, will end with. So she's doing an awesome job. Also, again, we've been bringing up about our one assistant coach that's a volunteer. On the agenda tonight, on all the coaches between head and assistant coaches, there is not one that is a volunteer. But we, as a girls softball team, still have a volunteer, non-paid coach. So I hope next year, because the boys, once again, have 4 coaches that are paid, we still have 1 volunteer, non-paid coach. So I hope next year, when it comes to the time when you're hiring coaches, I hope she will be paid as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Rob Mangel, 18 Trinity Place, Montclair, New Jersey, LHS Social Studies teacher, LEA president. First, I'd like to shout out the SOUL staff sitting behind me. They helped, every year they help to coordinate the Links Walkathon, and it is undoubtedly one of the highlights of the school year, every single year. Please give them the round of applause they deserve. The LEA is thankful that we continue to be invited back to participate in that wonderful event. We participate through our Pride and Fast grants. So many of the great programs that happen in this district happen with association funds through our association members. We've seen a couple of you throughout the district, throughout the year. Please continue to come out and support these wonderful events. We are already planning and gearing up for next year. We'll send out a schedule once we have that all pieced together. As I do every month, I urge the board to make decisions with the best interest of students and staff in mind. We have a number of major transitions on the horizon. I hope the Board of Education will invite all stakeholders to the table as we work to guide this ship. I'm looking forward to working with you on all of these pieces. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful long weekend. See y'all in June.
I guess no one else. Do we have anyone online? thank you for your comments. Our next agenda item is new business. New and unfinished business. I want to say something quickly. Dr. Tomasic, I want to thank you very much for our partnership with the Special Olympics, where we would be, I believe we just had a partnership with the Special Olympics, so our students will actually be competing in the Special Olympics. Is that?
Yes, we've reached out to the Special Olympics organizers. They gave us various options that we might pursue. They recommended that we start small but grow over time. Our next step in that process is to send out a survey to parents of special needs students to see the depth of interest in participating and at what grade levels might be the best for us to pursue.
Thank you, Dr. Tomasic. Another area of new and unfinished business that we were talking about is different ways that we could help cultivate our students. One of the things that we have found is that when the kids are very young, they have all these dreams. And as they mature and they get into middle school and high school, their dreams start to shrink. So one of the things we are looking into right now is different ways to help cultivate our students' dreams. Dr. Tomasic, we were looking into some summer programs, if we could do some participation with some summer programs at the universities for kids starting at a very young age to help continuing to cultivate the dreams of our K-12 students. You were talking about some of the opportunities we could possibly look into?
Yes, it won't be happening this summer because we pretty much have the summer plan, but as we go into next year, we'll be talking to our university partners and look for programs that could meet that criteria that you outlined.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you guys have any comments on this cultivating our students' dreams by?
I think because we're talking about it, we need to come up with something about the school violence. Every time we come here, there's been multiple fights or instances of violence that is unacceptable, and sorry. We need to come up with a plan and I'm not sure what that is. I really don't know. That's a difficult situation. I just don't know the right thing to do, so I think we need to put our heads together and come up with a plan for all of these fights. I get complaints a lot, and I think that it would be beneficial, maybe more school spirit, or it just seems everybody is so angry, and it's been that way for such a long period of time that we have to purposefully do something to combat it. And it's probably not the right word to combat it, but talking about fighting. But I would like to have some ideas maybe from the parents, teachers, community on what to do about that, or even the board members, what we could do about the violence. It's out of control. I'll stop there. I'll save it for my speech.
And last item, thank you very much, Ms. Fleming. Last item is our virtual yearbook. How is that going for our graduation?
I'll let Mrs. Perkins brief on that.
Good evening. We are on task and we're going to be ready. So again, the virtual yearbook will be a QR code on the program, where there will be a link for on the internet onto YouTube, where you can watch the pictures of all of the graduating students at your leisure for the rest of your lives. We will also have at the graduation the screen where it'll be projected as well during the high school graduation, so you can see the images of all of our wonderful students graduating for 22-23.
That is very, very nice. Do you have any board members?
Yeah, I do have two questions. Well, a question and a comment. Question: will the monitors be bright enough if there's sun that you're not going to be able to watch?
Yes, that was all taken into consideration because we expect sunny skies for the graduation.
Okay. And Jen, yeah, I might have to agree with you with the security. I've gone to pick up my daughter a few times, well, basically every day, not a few times. And I see the handful of students with water guns, okay? Water guns, I used to play with a water gun when I was younger. Okay, so for me, that doesn't impose any danger. However, at the time that we're in, a water gun may be imposed as something else now because there's so much more gun violence. And it's not only in Linden, it's throughout the United States. Okay? I must agree with you. We must get stronger. Our I don't want to hear anything negative that our students or our administration or our teachers, anybody, they were shot or hurt while they were working, where you should be safe when you go to school. Okay? That's everybody. So I think we should try to get ahead of it before it gets worse. And it's not one student, it's car full of students. So that means it's probably the seniors and the juniors that are starting it, because if it's a car full, those are the ones that are driving. It can't be the younger ones. Okay, and there was at least 3 cars in the instance that I saw, and they all ran out of the car with water guns to attack each other. It's just, that's what I used to do when I was younger. But this day and age is a whole different ballgame. So how do we combat it? Yes, we got to bring our minds together. We got to get maybe police officers up with us so we can try to combat something, or do a night out against violence, do something. I don't see the unity. I don't see a unity of us together doing that.
I think we had a conversation during our committee meeting to speak to some of the security issues during buildings, grounds, and securities, where the conversation did come up about public school safety officers. I'm not saying that's going to be the quick fix in how we bring and bridge the gap, but that will be a starting point. So that being brought up, I wanted to discuss that as part of new business. We did have that conversation. So Dr. Tomasic, where do we go from there regarding the public school safety officers and the SROs that could possibly work together?
Yes, since that meeting that we had, there were 3 major prongs that we were thinking. The first was to bring school resource officers into the buildings. That's different than the Class 3 officers that we have now. For the public, basically a Class 3 officer is an armed policeman who's generally a retired policeman, works for the police department, and is there for external security. They don't get involved with any of the discipline with the students. They're there if somebody comes into the school with a AR-15 and we need quick response at the time. That's the Class 3 officers. We have 4 authorized. We have 2 currently in the schools, and we're looking to fill the other 2 positions. But their role doesn't have anything to do with enforcing discipline or student behavior. It's solely for protection of students and staff. A school resource officer, which we don't have, is an active duty police officer who works in the school and works with the school on the discipline and the enforcement of discipline in the school building. After our meeting, I reached out to Chief Hart, and we have a tentative meeting date coming up in the upcoming weeks so that we could talk about what that might look like, how much it might cost, and of course, the chief shares that he himself is down on officers in the city, so that impacts how many he could release to possibly be in the buildings with us. The other idea that was put forward to me was to have a uniform security contractor come into the district to be responsible for that aspect of it. I've done two things in that regard. I've introduced the idea to the Linden Education Association because it would have to be thoroughly figured out as to how any outside contractor would work with the security staff that we already have, whether they would supplement, whether they would supplant, or what the situation would be. In the meantime, Mr. Sarapilia has gone out to the cooperative bidding networks. That's those networks that we're a member of that somebody has already bid the services. So instead of having to go out with an RFP ourselves, that we could just basically shop on the available services. And there are security services on these cooperatives. Where we left it today is as a basic analysis for the Board of Education. We're going to take the number of crisis aides and hall monitors that we have now, figure out the cost per year for that number of employees, and then go on the cooperative and ask what the same service would be and what the cost of that would be for uniformed security people, so that I could give the Board of Education a basic fiscal comparison between what we have now and what we might get if we had similar. But then from there, depending on what that looks like and the feedback that we have from the LEA and other stakeholders, then begin to build a plan as to whether we're going to go in a different direction, whether we're going to augment what we have, whether we're going to replace what we have, or we're going to do something else. And that would be, those were the initiatives that we had done since the committee meeting last Wednesday, and all of them are in the working stages, and we should have more updates as time goes forward.
Thank you. I truly appreciate that.
As I sit here and I think about years ago, when people had problems years ago, the way they solved problems is that somebody will walk to the right and to the left with a gun, and they turn around, and whoever left standing is the one who wins the argument. Right now, but that was solved by education. All right, people were trained how to solve their problems without violence. And we have to get back to those days where we have to teach our young people from a very, very young age how to solve their problems without violence. Now we're going to go to the next agenda item, which is board member comments.
Good evening. I know it's getting kind of late, and we're going to make it short. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. We appreciate it. It's nice seeing you guys. And thank you for your comments and your concerns. Trust and believe we're doing the best thing that we possibly can. And it's not going on deaf ear. We hear everything that you guys are saying, and we appreciate it. And our most important thing is the violence in the school and the fighting and children not respecting the teachers, and to my understanding, teachers not respecting the students as well. So we have to start somewhere, and pushing is not going to make it. If you keep pushing back, we're not going to get nowhere. So we have to help one another, and just like Dr. B said, we have to help the little kids, the children. We have to give them tools. For them to make it, we have to give them something in order to say, okay, I got it, I understand it, and stop passing the blame. Let's stop passing the blame game. That's not good. It's not getting us anywhere. It's not getting us anywhere. And my thing, I've been saying this since I've been sitting here, my thing is for the children first and foremost. You know, people say, oh, the board don't care, we do this and we do that. Don't nobody know what this board goes through. Don't nobody know what's on these boards' agendas or what's going on. You don't know that we take care of parents, we take care of kids or anything of that nature. But trust and believe, we do care about the kids that's in the school. We care about the teachers. We care about what's going on. Okay, I speak for myself as well as my people here. I care. We all care. We care very much. And we wasn't really supposed to make a speech tonight because it's getting late. I'm the one that said that, right? It's getting late. But I do appreciate each and every one of you coming out and showing your concerns. Thank you very much. Okay, Sam.
Quick and simple.
Okay.
Okay. Condolences to the families that we've lost. Past, and once again, condolences. And the ones that are retiring, especially one from School 6. I wanted to deny her, but the rest of the board didn't go on my side, so we can't deny her.
No.
Ms. Jean Callahan, thank you for everything. Today I'm going to be pretty short, ladies and gentlemen. We do appreciate the teachers, our staff. We do appreciate you guys, even though you think we may not. Okay, we are listening. We are making the best decisions we can. And Ms. Pino today's been getting in my brain today. She's been picking everything I was going to say about the blame game also. But one thing I have noticed, since COVID has easily subsided, we're still getting COVID, but I've seen a shift in the issues of, I guess, being isolated and coming back out. I've seen a big aggression, and it's not only here, it's throughout the United States, and I see it every day in my job. I deal with customers, I deal with about 50,000 customers a day, and I see the aggressiveness. So and now if you listen in the news, there's more mental issues now than ever. I've never heard as many mental problems that people are having, and it's a real thing out there. And there are signs that we're probably missing. And there are signs that are just clearly out there, and we see the aggression. We have to try to tackle it and be 2 steps ahead of it. Okay, and so once again, thank you guys for coming out, listening to us. Hug your family, hug your friends, be thankful, and tomorrow there's another day. Thank you.
Absolutely, Sam.
Jennifer?
Okay. I also would like to thank you for coming out and being involved in the school itself and our children's lives, and the teachers every day wake up and to come and spend the entire day with our children, probably more time with our kids than the parents. And we appreciate you and what you do for our homes, our children, our community. You are appreciated. I just would also like to give my condolences for the families. Every month, it seems there's some condolences to give to the friends and family of Florence and Frank. You have our regrets. And congratulations on the retirements. Thank you for your service to the Board of Education, to our children, to our lives here in Linden. Memorial Day is right around the corner, coming up quick. So I don't know if I'm saying, I'm not saying Happy Memorial Day because I don't understand that sentence. But in any case, have a great 3 days or 4 days, depending on where you work at. And you know, the violence thing gets me. I think we need, because our teachers are doing all they can, right? They go to school, they're with our kids all day, every day. I'm sure that in their hearts that they tell the kids what they think, you know, the best that they can do. Most of the teachers, you know, they really do care and give their time and their lives to our children. I think that it has to come from other places. I think we need to, as parents maybe, start looking at our children, having talks, and sit them down. I have 5 sons. I have a son right here. Sit them down, you know, hug them, teach them how to love. It's okay to be angry at someone. It's okay to disagree with people. It's not okay to be disrespectful. It's not okay to put your hands on somebody else. It's not okay to treat other people any way you want. It's unacceptable. And I hope that we as parents teach our children, all of us as parents, teach our children the same thing, because at the end of the day, we live in a community where we love each other, and we should love each other as individuals. And I know civilians don't really have that training, but if you have ever been to the military and your life depends on the next guy beside you, you don't care what race he is, you don't care what sex he is, you don't care what color he is, you don't care what religion he is, you don't care. You're buddies. So I think we need to get some spirit, some Linden spirit going on. I would like to thank Danny. I don't know if she's here. Danny, thank you for posting, you know, all the great things that our kids are doing, because we have to turn it around. And we don't have the time to wait for somebody to fix it for us. The whole world right now is looking at this problem. We don't have the time for somebody else to lead us in the right direction. We need to do that for ourselves, for our children, for our community. So speak goodness to them, and teach them how to be patient, kind, and loving, and applaud them for their great acts and accomplishments. And at the end of the day, we need to keep them busy. They shouldn't have so much time and energy to be wasting on bad behavior. That's just my opinion, but I thank you all for coming here. Thank you, and thank you for everything that you do for the Linden Board of Education. Everybody, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I will try to be brief because I know that it is late. First, I would like to give my condolences to Mrs. Sabelski and Frank Lysick, and offer condolences to their friends and family. I would also like to offer my congratulations to the retirees. And I also would like to thank the staff and students that came to this meeting to express their concerns and thoughts, whether it's in favor of something that the board did or against something that the board did. It takes an extreme amount of courage and bravery to come out and talk and, you know, just voice your opinion. So just thank you for coming out. I always like to hear what's going on and hear your feedback, even if it's criticism. It helps me grow as a board member, and I'm learning a lot just through what you guys are sharing at each and every meeting. So just thank you for coming out and dedicating your time, not only when you go to work each day, but just taking time outside of your day-to-day to come to the meetings. It definitely means a lot to me. And I hope that, you know, throughout my time on the board, I can make some type of improvement that is in your favor. And yeah, I think there's just definitely a disconnect between the students, and with all the chaos and violence that's going on, it's very disheartening. I wish that I had an answer to solve it, and I'm trying to understand why it's going on, but I think that, you know, just through collective conversation, hopefully we can come to some type of resolution. I do think that times have changed and things are a lot more chaotic, and I just, like I said, I wish I had an answer right now, but I'm hoping that collectively we can just continue to have more conversations and then follow through with some immediate actions, because it is getting a little bit scary. But on a positive note, again, I just want to give a shout out to the girls softball team as well as the boys baseball team. They had a great season. I didn't know a lot about the sports prior to being on the board, but thanks to some parents that encouraged the board members to go to games, I was actually able to get a better understanding of the games. And I actually had a lot of fun. I learned a lot. And I encourage everybody here to take some time to go see a game. The girls and the boys, they're really good. They're really talented, and you know, it's fun once you start to understand everything. So that's just something on a positive note that I wanted to end with.
Good evening, all. I would like to give my condolences to the family and loved ones of Florence Sablisky and Francis Lysick. Also, happy retirements to Jean Callahan. I would also like to thank the staff members who spoke so highly of Mr. McGee. I'm pleased to hear about the Special Olympics that our special needs students will be able to participate in. Also, as far as the school violence, I agree on the hiring of the resource officers or the uniform security staff, if that's available once with the fiscal, like you said, Dr. Tomazik, once we discuss that. As far as a Mental Health Awareness Month, which is May 1st through May 31st, often because of misconceptions about mental health and mental fitness, people often suffer in silence, and their conditions go untreated. National Day of Prayer will be this Saturday morning, which will be good for our community that has had hardships these past few months, if you're able to attend. And I'm keeping it short tonight. Thank you all for attending. Have a good night.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming out this evening. I just want to let everyone know who came up and gave board comments. You've been heard, and we are going to take a deeper dive into your concerns. Some things that weighs heavily on me is the safety of our students, our teachers, our staff, and even our innocent bystanders who are walking past our schools during dismissal. So I just want to say that all of your concerns have not fallen on deaf ears, and we are here and will continue to push the district forward. Thank you for coming out this evening. Have a great holiday if you do celebrate, and I'll see you in June. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for coming. You come here, you sit here from 6 o'clock in the evening. You wait until we come out from executive session, and you wait. And the reason why you all are here is because this is important to you, and we really, really appreciate you. I know that we, as you say, we sit on the board and we try to do our best. One of the things I would ask each and every one of us when we go home, watch what our children watch on television. Watch the kind of video games that our kids start watching at a very young age. If a kid at a very young age is watching a lot of videos that have violence in it, that's how they learn to solve problems. We have to watch what our children watch. It begins with us, and it also begins with what we expose our children to. It's all up to us. It takes a village to raise a child. This is our village. We have to protect it and raise our children well. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming here tonight. I hope to see you guys, the high school seniors, at the graduation. And I know we all have to look pretty for a yearbook, right? It's going to be there forever. I'm going to fix my face. Anyway, I want to thank each and every one of you again for coming, and have a good night.
Motion to adjourn?
I know, I'm going to adjourn now.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Have a good night. Now, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. I want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
Second. All right. Roll call.
Ms. Pino,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Armstead,
Yes.
Ms. Cintron,
Yes.
Mr. Dela Cruz.
Yes.
Mrs. Fleming.
Yes.
And Dr. Berghammer.
Yes. Meeting adjourned.